Hello, I am Stefan from mywoodcutters.com, and in today's episode about Clean Armor how-to, I would like to talk about these two products, but more in a minute. I just would like to share a slightly different story. I had this video completely done about an hour ago, and this piece of wood here was completely finished. And when I checked my video, I realized I had not turned on my microphone, and so yeah, it was all a loss and I had to start over again. And so I had to struggle with the thought of digging out my planer and plane down the finish or sand it down. So I opted for sanding, and the Clean Armor finish is fairly tough on sandpaper. So I had to start actually with 60 grit, then 100 grit, then 150 grit, 180, 240, up down to 320. And yeah, so this is now a tiny shop. Anyways, it's still under construction, and all the tools, machines and so on, they have dedicated places, but not dedicated places where you can use them. They have dedicated storage places. So everything that I need to use, I need to pull out here, put this away and so on. So that's why I opted for sanding. Anyways, back to the story. Clean Armor how-to. We are talking today about the Wood 750 Tabletop Sealer and the Wood 757 Tabletop Finish, in this case in gloss. This product comes also in matte as well as in satin, but we are working with the gloss today. And yeah, for that purpose I'm going to bring you a little bit closer to the scene or to the action, so that you can see what is happening here. That should give a fairly good view, maybe a little bit more from the angle for the light. So yeah, the tabletop products, the 750 Sealer and the 757 Tabletop Finish, by the way, they built a little bit of an exception in the Clean Armor product line, because we normally say all the Clean Armor products, they can be sprayed, they can be brushed, they can be rolled on or wiped on. However, the exception here is with this product is you should not spray it. Of course you can spray it, but you will not get satisfying results. This product is a little bit more on the thinner side, and yeah, it just doesn't work very well with spraying. So manufacturer says stay away from it, and yeah, so I haven't even tried it. And in actual fact, this product is designed to give us an open grain look. Now the other products, the 700 series or 705 interior and exterior finishes, they are more like a standard lacquer that lays a film over the wood. And now this one here gives the open grain finish that looks very, very similar to what you might be used to when using hard wax oils and similar products. So let's get started. I'm going to exclusively wipe this product on, and we start with the 750 Tabletop Sealer. And all we have to do is shake the bottle a little bit. Oops. And pour a little bit on. And then we take an applicator. By the way, these are so-called stain applicators that I bought actually for this purpose, and when I tested them I realized they lose a lot of lint. So you have all these little tiny white flakes here embedded in your finish, and that is no good. So I took the same one and wrapped it into a microfiber cloth, and that works really well. So all we are doing now is like spreading this as even as we can. Even go across the grain, any direction, doesn't matter. So as I said, we just want to spread this out evenly. And yeah, by the way, when I sanded this, I was lucky to even find here some coarse sandpaper, because I have in my planer one of these lux cut heads installed, and they provide such a smooth finish or surface from planing that there is hardly, I don't want to say no sanding required, but very little. I usually start there with 180 grit, and I am going to usually to an extent of a little bit of overkill, you could say, because after that I sand with 240 and then with 320, and that's what I have done here as well. So this is sanded down to 320. But again, you don't really have to if you don't want to. But I find it leaves a much better finished surface. And even when you spray the other applications, where you're still sanding a little bit in between coats, with this product there is no sanding whatsoever, even in between coats. Yeah. If you have it sanded down to 320 to begin with, then you have very little to sand in between coats. And by the way, I have thoroughly dedusted this piece of walnut, and the color that we see here on my wiping pad is not dust. It's just simply picking up some color pigments from the wood, and that is good. So after having distributed this material over the wood, we are letting it soak in a little bit, usually so 1 to 2 minutes, and then we're wiping it over again. I hope the video can pick that up. I still see here a little bit, well, they have almost disappeared, the streaks from wiping it on, but you can see how the product soaks in to the wood. Depending on the grain changes, of course, so it in some spaces or some places it soaks in more than in others. So, and that's what we want to see here. Yeah, now I think it has soaked in fairly well. What I'm doing now is, like, I use the exact same side that I applied it with and wipe it over again, and that's what I like so much about Clean Armor in comparison to all the hard wax oils that I cannot claim to have extensive experience with them. I only tested them for a brief period of time, and what I didn't like was simply the fact that you wipe it on in a similar way and then you use a clean cloth and wipe it off again, and then another clean cloth to wipe it off again until you are unable to pick up anything else. And that basically tells me you don't get a protective finish film over the wood, and you only got a finish that has soaked into the wood. That's all that's left in the end. So yeah, that already starts to look good. And finally, I turn this piece around to the clean side and wipe over one more time, but this time I'm going extremely gentle, with the sole purpose of distributing this material a little bit more evenly into the grain, and not with the purpose of wiping anything off. So all that we put on here stays on. And even this coat here will be completely sealing the wood, and the Clean Armor products, all of them, including this one, are very resistant chemically as well as mechanically. So you can pour acetone on it, gasoline, alcohol, whatever you want, it will not affect the finish. Okay, that looks very well. I am going to start now to cure it with my handheld device, and I start with the edges simply out of habit. Normally I use my overhead lights. They are like 4 feet, a little bit over 4 feet away from the surface above my head, and that cures well even the surface, even from that distance, easily within 2 minutes. And I use that handheld device mainly to cure edges, like in this case. But here I don't bother with the overhead lights on this small piece. I just do it all with this handheld, so that you can see how quickly this material cures. Now you will not see any change in appearance while it cures. It continues to look as wet as it was before, when it was wet, but even when it's dry. So there's no, because the sealer products, by the way, whether it is this 750 tabletop sealer or the 710 sealer that you use for the 700 products, they are really glossy in their finish, and the same as the gloss finishes, in this case the 757 tabletop sealer or the 700 wood finishing coat in gloss, they do not change appearance when they're curing at all. It still looks wet in the end. So that's always fascinating. And okay, I'm confident this has done it. I want to remove my glove here for a second to double check. And yeah, this is dry. It's smooth. It does not require sanding. And even now I can already, I hope you can pick that up sound-wise, scratch with my fingernails, and it does not leave any marks. Okay, now we are using the 757 tabletop finish, as I said, in gloss. And again, shake the bottle and pour it on. And since the wood is now already sealed, most of the sealer has soaked into the wood. We usually don't need as much here, but again, we are just using another fresh applicator, and you don't have to, by the way. I just left mine that I used here on the table, and it hardened now ever since I turned the lights on. But all you would have to do is just throw them into a Ziploc bag and before you turn the lights on, and then store them in a dark place where they cannot get any UV lights, and they will stay fresh, and you can pick them up again in 3 months or whenever you have the next project to finish. And that's the quite amazing part. You don't go through so many tools, applicators, brushes, whatever you're using, even a roller. You can simply store in a bag, a Ziploc bag, something that you can close up, and store it in a dark place for as long as you want. I probably wouldn't go longer than a year or so, but yeah. That starts to look really awesome. Okay, now we are going again to let it settle. Settling means that we have here, from applying this, a few brush strokes, and they're getting less and less as I speak here, because the material is self-leveling and eliminates pretty much all the brush strokes. Even when you use a brush where you have even more brush strokes than with a glove-like material like this one, yeah, it's really amazing in that respect. So yeah, it's definitely getting there. I think that already looks really good. So I'm going to again here turn this around to the dry side, and again go over very gentle, with the goal to only level it out once more, but not to pick up. I mean, you cannot avoid getting a little bit on here, but definitely not wiping it off. Yeah, I'm already very pleased with the appearance here. Okay, I'll grab my light. I'll show you again some blue light here, or violet, and start curing. And by the way, when you use the handheld device, you should still always stay away like at least a foot. Here I'm a little bit limited, it's barely a foot because of my machine here. And over here I have my bottle sitting, and I have not even closed this cap very well. That's not good. And the reason that you should stay away, I mean, with this product I don't see the risk so much, but when you're applying thicker finishes like with the 700s and so on, then you can cause wrinkles because the product is heating up as it cures. And where you have thicker material sitting, let's say you have a hole in the grain and so on, that is where the material is sitting a little bit thicker because it's still self-levels. You can get little wrinkles in there. I have seen a few before when I was too anxious to get my finished piece cured, and I went over like barely 2 inches away or something. Yeah. Again, with this thin product, and this is also applied fairly thin onto the wood, I don't see much of a risk here, but still better be safe than sorry. So if you stay a foot away, it's always on the safe side. Yeah, and that's all there is to it. Again, with the glossy appearance here, you cannot see when it cures at all. It dry still looks the same as wet. There is no change in appearance. With the satin and matte finishes, it does change appearance as it cures, but not the gloss. But still, I'm confident this is already cured, and it is. It's very smooth without sanding in between coats. And again, I'm going over here with my fingernails like crazy, and nothing happens. So I hope you can see this open grain finish. Let me pick up the camera and get you a little bit around so the reflections of the light and from different angles show it usually a little bit better. Yeah, I'm very pleased. So this is very similar, as I said, to the finishes that you normally see with hard wax oils and so on. And yeah, we bring the camera back here. And there you have it. 750 tabletop sealer and 757 tabletop finish. And that is all there is to it. Wipe it on, cure it, well, and yeah, you've seen the details. Hope you learned something today and enjoyed this video, and that I see you sometime soon again in one of the hours that I'm taking in this series of Clean Armor How To. Yeah, anyways, thanks for watching and see you later.